Wife cheated on me. So I confronted her affair partner at his house and did this. I'm sitting out in front of AP's house to confront him today. I caught them and confronted her about the affair 3 months ago. She apologized profusely and told me she still wanted to be with me. I wanted to save our marriage, counseling, etc. We've been in couples and individual counseling. She's outwardly told me all the right things. She loves me and only me, wants to fix things, doesn't want a divorce, etc. She gave me access to her phone, but told me she doesn't want to catch me sneakily going through it. She swears up and down that she's on the straight and narrow to repairing our broken trust. Except, she is still seeing him. I found out and kept it to myself. I plan to serve her divorce papers tomorrow, but first I'm going to confront her affair partner to see what other lies she's been telling me. I know they've talked on the phone a dozen times since I found out and told her she had to go no contact. She swears she hasn't been in contact with him, but the phone records don't lie. They text almost every day. She's obviously deleting them from her phone because I haven't seen them there. But she doesn't know deleting them on her phone doesn't delete them from her iPad. So at the moment I'm sitting in a car outside of his house, waiting for him or his wife to leave for work. If he leaves, I'm going to follow him to where he works and confront him there. If she leaves first, I'm going to go knock on his door. Update 1. So it's done. I'm an emotional mess. I knew that the community here at r/surviving infidelity would need an update, and I'm here to deliver. I'll start with last night. I got home from work, made dinner, and sat down to eat. My wife asked me how my day was. I relied. Uneventful. That was the extent of it. We ate, played with the kids, and put them to bed like everything was normal. She and I sat down on our bedroom to watch TV, and she said nothing for like 2 hours. Finally, after our shows were over, she spoke. I'm going to bed. And that was it. No confrontation, no discussion, nothing. She went to bed and I stayed up playing video games for another couple of hours before I went to bed myself. I slept like crap and finally woke up at 5 a.m. The reason I wanted to serve her today was that we had a marriage counseling session over the lunch hour. I had already read our therapist in on what I intended to do. So when we sat down and started the session, I didn't wait. I talked to a fair partner yesterday. Yeah, I talked to him too. Yeah, I know. I don't get it. Why would you go talk to him? Because I needed answers to some questions I had, and you weren't being honest with me. Oh yeah? Well, what did he tell you? Honey, he sold you down the river. What does that mean? He told me everything about what you guys have been doing. The sneaking around, the secret meetings, the lovey-dovey phone calls, everything. He told you? Yeah, everything. I then went on to list out all the details I already knew of their texts, calls, meetings, dates, times, etc. She started to bawl. So it's clear to me that while you've been in here telling me one thing, your actions tell a completely different story. So I'm done. What do you mean you're done? Handing over the divorce papers. I want a divorce. She took the paperwork in her hands like it was a venomous snake and stared at it. She then looked to the therapist for help. How do I fix this? I don't want a divorce. I want you. I want our life. I want to stay. The therapist. Do you see where at confronting AP is coming from? When your words and your actions are telling conflicting stories, you always believe the actions, not the words. Your actions have told me all I need to know. How do we move forward from here without fighting, without vitriol, without dragging our children through the mud? The rest of the session was surprisingly cordial. There were a lot of tears on both sides. I expressed how betrayed and angry I am that she would continue this affair behind my back, thinking of me as the lovable idiot who would never know. She cried because her entire life as she knows it is ending. I told her I cut off her money supply, that she can use half of what we have to hire a divorce attorney. I told her she could not live in our home anymore. She will need to go stay with family or friends. I told her I was done and that there is no chance for reconciliation. She cried more. When we talked out of the appointment, she grabbed my hand and made another last-ditch effort to garner my forgiveness. I pulled my hand away and told her in no uncertain terms. That was done, and I did not want her in my life anymore. She fell to the ground sobbing. I walked out the door and left her like that. As I drove away from the therapist's office, I called the fair partner's wife and left her voicemail, saying, I really need to speak with you. Please call me ASAP. I then called my attorney and told her to file the paperwork, but to hold on the TRO unless things got ugly. My wife called and texted me several times after I left. I let them go to voicemail and haven't listened to them yet. I felt dead inside as I drove to her parents' house. Before I walked in, my phone rang. It was a fair partner's wife calling me back. He hadn't said anything to her. I told her I needed to meet with her in person and could I meet up with her in an hour? She said yes, and we set a place and time. I walked into her parents' house and told them everything. Her mom started to bawl immediately. Her dad sat there, stone-faced. I told them that I love her and I tried to make it work, but that I refused to stand there while she continued to cheat on me behind my back. They were so totally shaken that it was hard to gauge their feelings. I told them that I wouldn't slander her or spread the truth around our friends and family, but that they needed to know the truth about why we were divorcing. I told them that I don't expect them to support me in all of this, and frankly, I want them to sort her because she's going to need it. This all goes back to my kids. If she cannot afford a decent place to live, I don't want my kids living in squalor during the time they spend with her. Her parents can and will support her financially. I told them I loved them and that I would miss our relationship. Her dad and I shook hands and I hugged her mom before I left. Then I drove to the meeting place to meet a fair partner's wife. I'm sitting in the car right now, waiting for her to show up. I plan to tell her, show her the video if need be, and let her make the decision on how to proceed from there. If she needs me to be a source of emotional support, I will offer that. No one should have to suffer through this alone. So that's been my day. I still have to meet with a fair partner's wife, pick up my kids from school, and change the locks on my house. I have a security system set up at home, so if she chooses to steal or damage anything, it will be on video. She knows that too, so I'm not too worried about it. More to come. Update 2. Her partner's wife showed up to our meeting place. I could tell she knew something was up as soon as I got out of the car. She tried playing it off, friendly-like, but I could tell she knew something was up. I told her, I have something I need to tell you. It's not going to be fun or easy to hear, and I'm sorry that this is happening to us. My wife and your husband have been having an affair. She started to sob immediately. I had to continue. I found out about it 3 months ago. Like that, her head snapped up and she had rage in her eyes. 3 effing months ago? Why the EFF are you just telling me now? So I had to explain how I found out, what I did when I confronted my soon-to-be ex-wife, and how we were going through marriage counseling to save our marriage. She listened, nodding until I got to the part where I found out that they were still seeing each other. Then she started crying again. Look, I have to stop here for a second. I'm crying now as I write this. I feel awful just putting this out in the world, like I'm spreading someone else's misery around. She did nothing to deserve this. Truth be told, I feel absolutely horrible about telling her. She had no idea. She told me she was wondering why I called her, and she figured it was something bad about her husband. But she had no idea that the affair was going on, that it was happening with my wife, that I had caught them, or that they had continued their relationship after being outed. Her entire world was crushed. And then I asked her if she wanted to see the video. I have to laugh. Actually, she thought I had a sex video of the two of them, and at first was disgusted that I would even offer to show that to her.
No, y responda.
I met with a fair partner yesterday and confronted him about all of this, and he admitted to it. I have a video of our conversation. She thought about it for a moment and said that she wanted to see it. I had taken some time yesterday to edit the video down, since it was roughly 20 minutes of him hemming and hawing and lying and denying things. I had edited a few choice pieces into a roughly 60-second clip, which I played for her. In it, he apologizes to me, tells me he screwed up, and shares a few more details about their ongoing relationship. She started crying again as soon as I hit play, and she saw his face, and I stopped it and asked if she was sure. She was, and I left the video play out. At this point, there wasn't much more to say. I told her how sorry I was to be the person telling her. She thanked me for opening her eyes. I told her I knew exactly how she felt, because I was feeling the same things 3 months ago when I found out. I told her that if she needed to talk, if she needed to vent, if she wanted to scream obscenities, she could call me and I would be there for her. She thanked me, we hugged, and left it at that. I honestly don't know what she's going to do now, but I'm sure it won't be good news for a fair partner. I truly feel awful for her and for her children. I hopped in the car and headed home. My phone had been blowing up during her conversation. My soon-to-be ex-wife had been trying to reach me since I left her earlier today. I had checked the security footage at home, and she hadn't been home yet, so I headed home. When I got there, she was sitting in the driveway smoking. As soon as she saw my car, she started screaming, "You told my flipping parents, you low-life piece of crap." I had to record on my phone and stuck it in the front pocket of my shirt so I could get it all on video. I got out of the car in the driveway. She was blocking the garage and answered her, "Yes, I did. It deserved to know the truth about why we are divorcing." I didn't lie or make anything up. I told them the truth, and I told them that they should love and support you through all of this. Took the wind right out of her sails. She went from rage to being a bawling mess in seconds. She kept apologizing, asking what she could do to fix things, telling me she never wanted any of this, etc., etc. I listened, and when she finally ran out of things to say, I responded. "I told you everything I had to say at the therapist's office today. I have nothing more to say about this. I'll pick up the kids from school and feed them dinner. You're welcome to get some things, but you cannot stay here tonight. I suggest staying with your parents." At this, she got angry. "You can't keep me from my children?"
No, y responda.
"I don't intend to keep you from our children. But given the state you are in right now, I don't think it would be a good idea for them to see you like this. I'll tell them you want to stay with Graham and Gramps for a few days, because Gramps has been sick and Graham needs some help around the house. They will understand that, and they won't question it. But we need to decide how and when we are going to tell them about this, and it needs to be before the end of this week." She started sobbing again. My heart broke for her in that moment. I saw the woman I loved, the woman I married, the woman I pledged to spend my life with, raw and emotional and lost and hopeless. I hugged her and told her I was sorry that this was happening, but that this was the result of her decisions, and that I would no longer stand by and be married to a woman who would treat me like this. We stood there and embraced for a long time, her crying into my shoulder in that driveway. Finally, she pulled away and tried to kiss me. I pulled back and said, "That's not going to happen." She broke down again, and I turned and walked into the house. I went into the kitchen and fixed myself a very stiff drink. After 20 minutes or so, I heard her come into the house. She quietly went to our bedroom, and I could hear her packing a bag. I stayed in the kitchen, and she found me there with her suitcase packed. "I hope you're happy," she told me. "I'm not happy at all," I responded. "I didn't want this. I wanted you. I wanted us. I wanted a wife who would love me and treat me with kindness. And instead, I got this. So no, I'm not happy at all." She screamed to me, "Then why are you doing this? Why aren't you throwing away everything we have?" "I'm not," I responded. "You threw all this away when you went back to a fair partner. Now I'm just cleaning up the pieces." She screamed a few more choice obscenities at me, but I wouldn't rise to take her bait. When she realized I wasn't going to engage with her, she left, slamming the door so hard it knocked a picture frame off of the wall in the back hallway. I heard her screech out of the driveway, and she left. I finished my drink and replayed the video of her screaming and cursing at me. If things get bad, I've got enough video evidence to keep myself protected legally. I picked up the kids after school and brought them home. I explained that Mom is going to be staying with G&G for a few days. The kids were sad, but didn't ask questions. We played, ate dinner, and they are getting ready for bed. I haven't heard from soon-to-be ex-wife, a fair partner, or a fair partner's wife in several hours. The house is going to be very quiet once the kids go to bed. Frankly, I miss it here with my bottle and just pour myself a few more drinks before bed. Update 3. I've mentioned already that I talked to a fair partner's wife on Friday. She told me that she is not ready to end their marriage and that they are staying together and are going to try and make things work. They are in counseling. They have children together, and I don't begrudge her trying to save her marriage. I did the same thing when I was in her shoes. Their kids don't know. I wish them nothing but the best, and I hope they are able to work things out. She asked me not to contact her while they work on things, and I fully intend to respect her wishes. I hope they can salvage things. My wife and I had another therapy appointment on Friday where we exclusively discussed how to tell the kids. She told me that she doesn't want to get divorced. She begged me over and over again not to go through with this. I told her that she made the decision for me when she went back to a fair partner after I told her not to. She told me that they hadn't slept together again after I found out why, and that she didn't discuss the details of what she and I were going through lie. When I confronted her with what I knew again, she broke down and told me she knew what she was doing was wrong, but she didn't think about the consequences, just that she needed someone to confide in a fair partner because she couldn't talk to anyone else about it. You know, like me, her husband, who she was supposed to be trying to work things out with. Even when I do consider forgiving her and giving it another shot, I just keep going back to the lies and deception. She just keeps digging her hole deeper, lying to me about sleeping with a fair partner again, lying to me about what she told him. It comes so naturally to her that I know I can never trust her again. The lies just roll off her tongue as if she believes they are the truth, and if I weren't so informed I'd believe her, but I know better. So even in the moments where I want to embrace her, kiss her, and tell her everything will be okay, I remember her lies, and it keeps me focused on moving forward separately. Anyways, we told the kids Friday night it was awful. They totally understand what is going on and they are a mess. They are mad at her for having a boyfriend and mad at me for leaving mom. She really did not want me to say that she had a boyfriend, but I was resolute on that part. The kids have their first therapy appointment on Friday. I have no idea how well that will go, but I'm hopeful they will get to start working out their emotions around the whole thing. Meanwhile, I'm trying to be firm as a disciplinarian while giving them the freedom to express their grief and anger and confusion around what is happening to their worlds. It's a difficult balancing act. Yes, it's okay to be angry and yell and cry. No, it's not okay to destroy your toys because you're angry. Crap like that. Soon-to-be ex-wife came back to the house Friday night, and for the time being we are cohabitating until we come up with a plan for who is moving out and when. We will have to sell the house. I can't afford to keep it and pay child support and pay alimony. Tell us how much that turns out to be. The housing market in our area is down right now, and no one is buying houses, so we agreed to wait until spring to put it on the market so we can get a better price for it. The next 4 months cannot go by quickly enough for me. It's also going to be a miserable Christmas. I can't even bring myself to put up decorations, as trying to celebrate something right now seems completely foreign to me. I'll do it. I want the kids to have as normal a Christmas as they can possibly have. I just need to find the time and mental bandwidth to drag the tree out of the storage and put it up. She's sleeping on the couch. As much as I want to be the bigger man on this and give her our bed, I can't bring myself to do it. I put a lock on the bedroom door and lock it in the morning before I leave the house so that she cannot get in there and mess with my things. For the moment, she's using the guest room and keeping some clothes in a suitcase. Call it petty. Call it a dick move. Call it whatever you want. She left me, and I'm going to sleep in my bed at night and let her suffer on the couch. So that's where we are at right now. It's not a super detailed update, but it covers the basics of what has gone on over the last several days. The house is relatively peaceful. She's barely talking to me, much less screaming and throwing a fit. The few things we do discuss are kid-related and are brief and to the point. I'm sure there is more going on under the surface with her. There always is. But for now, she's being amicable. 8 to 4 first. Just be assured that everything is still cordial, respectful, and genial. Tension ran high for the first week, but it's come down considerably as we all settle into our new normal. Frankly, it gives me hope that we can continue to settle things amicably as we've generally been respectful to each other throughout all of this. I know it's hard to believe after everything she put me through, but she's being pretty straightforward and honest about everything, and I've been steadfast in my resolve. Well, with one notable exception, to continue forward. Second, putting up the Christmas decorations was awesome. The kids had a blast with it. We played Christmas music. We put on Christmas movies, and we didn't take anything too seriously. Soon-to-be ex-wife got in on it too. Since she's still living in the house, I couldn't exactly keep her from helping. She oversaw the kids putting ornaments on a tree while I hung lights up outside. I came in, and we all had hot cocoa and watched Christmas Vacation. I sat on one side of the kids. She sat on the other side. In previous years, we would have cuddled up on the couch together to watch the movie, but I wasn't about to do that. Third, the kids' therapy is going well. The first meeting was honestly a lot of paperwork and get-to-know-you stuff. We got into things a little bit, but the kids were shy and unclear about how it was all going to play out. I think that having me and soon-to-be ex-wife in the room also put them on guard a little bit. The second session apparently went a lot better. We started session 2 all together talking. and then therapists asked if we could step out for a little bit. We waited outside of the room while the therapist and kids talked. Then, after about 15 minutes, we went back in and the kids shared what they had discussed. They expressed a lot of sadness and uncertainty, told us they didn't want us to get divorced, and told us that they didn't want to live in separate houses. Here's the fun part. Soon-to-be ex-wife started crying and said, "I don't want that either." As I sat there open mouth, all I could say was, "Are you kidding me?" I stopped myself from going further. I nearly blurted out, "Then you shouldn't have screwed around on me," but I didn't. Then, like a dummy, I chimed in, "I don't want that either," but it felt like I was just tagging on to what she said. Then I turned to the therapist and asked if we could speak to her alone before we left. With 5 minutes left on the session, the therapist asked the kids to step out into the waiting room and close the door. She then lit into my wife. She said that she was being manipulative and was painting me as the bad guy with what she was saying, and that she needed to cut that crap out if we were going to have a good co-parent parenting relationship together going forward. She said that if my wife truly didn't want to get divorced, then she would have thought about the consequences of her actions while she was having her affair. She basically said everything I wanted to say, but couldn't. It was kind of awesome. That night, soon-to-be ex-wife apologized to me for what was said in therapy and said she would think more about what she was saying and how her words would impact the kids before she said them. It was about all I could hope for. Outside of that, work is good. Christmas prep is coming along nicely. Oh, and I accidentally slept with my wife. Yeah, that's the above-referenced exception to my resolve. Here's what happened. Rewind back to the night we put up Christmas decorations. It had been a great day. We all had a good time, watched movies, and enjoyed being together. It was just like it had been before all the crap went down. We put the kids to bed and sat down to finish watching It's a Wonderful Life, which is her favorite Christmas movie. We had both been sipping on eggnog and brandy throughout the evening, and between the warm feelings and the warm brandy, I didn't realize how much it had impacted my judgment. She leaned over and kissed my neck softly. I then turned to her and we went at it like a couple of teenagers. I wish I could say that I wasn't thinking to myself, "Don't do this," but I thought about it. I just went against my better judgment and did it anyway. This had been so long since she and I had been together, I know I wasn't in my right mind. That said, it was great. We both had a fun time, but as I lay there afterward, I just started to get disgusted with myself for doing it. After all this time, after all of her betrayals, after all of my good progress, I'm still mad at myself. And now I've got to deal with all of the fallout from this. I told her that night it didn't change anything between us, that I still wanted to force. I told her it couldn't happen again, and that we weren't going to go back to the way things were. She agreed. She said she agreed, but who the heck really knows with her? I haven't had a chance to discuss it with my therapist or with our marriage counselor, who we are still meeting with. And I've got to get an STD test, because I don't know if she picked up something from a fair partner or not. I don't have to worry about a surprise pregnancy because I had a vasectomy several years ago, but the rest of it just absolutely boggles my mind. How could I have been so stupid and let my guard down? I'm sorry to disappoint anyone here with what happened.
I'm imperfect.
I'm mad at myself, and I'm not going to let it happen again. Final update. Let me start out by saying that my wife and I ultimately decided to stick it out. Yes, I know that will disappoint a lot of you. I know that I struggled with feelings of disappointment in myself for most of last year. We are not back to 100%, nor do I know that we ever will be, but things are certainly better. To get to this point, took about 9 months of intense therapy, both individually and together, along with the therapy with our kids. We both had to be willing to forgive and move on. Frankly, I consider it to be something of a miracle that we made it this far. Here's how all of that went down. After my last update, I made it clear that we couldn't be sleeping together again. We continued to go to couples therapy, and she really started to open up about what she was thinking and feeling and what led her to reunite with a fair partner. At some point, probably in March, it became clear to me that something had changed in us both. We weren't going through the motions. We were honestly expressing ourselves to each other. She had deep-seated fears of becoming lost and being a wife and mother. She wanted something that was missing and tried to get it outside of our marriage. Don't get me wrong, I wasn't falling for a con. I truly believe she was lost and looking for something she was missing. Yes, she should have looked for it with me, but she didn't. I have forgiven her for that. I expressed all of my hurt, pain, and how shattered my trust had become. I was fearful of getting burned again, and honestly, I still am to a point. I know it could happen. Really, anything can happen. But I've given up on my need to control things and have handed it over to my faith and her that she will never do something like this to me again. It's not just that. I derive a great deal of inner peace from having a plan. That's just who I am personally. I have a need to plan and work through details, and doing that gives me comfort. I know what I need to do if I ever started to question her loyalty or found evidence of her cheating again. That plan gives me strength and allows me to put the hurt out of my head. For months, her cheating in line was all I could think about. Now, I rarely think about it anymore. She has not spoken to, reached out to, or checked in on a fair partner in over a year. I know this because I have access to her phone, laptop, and Facebook messages, which she agreed to allow me. For a while, I was tempted to check her stuff every single day. It was hard not to want to go through every single message and question who she was texting and why. But with time, my desire to check in on her subsided. I always made sure that I did it randomly and without warning, so I could catch her if I needed to. I haven't done that in probably 2 months now, and I don't think I'll do it again unless something makes me suspicious. Again, therapy helped considerably on that front. I have not spoken to a fair partner or his wife since I last reached out to her in December of last year. Frankly, I'm fine with that. I can see on Facebook that they are still married, but I don't dwell on it or check it often. I've set her profile so that it doesn't show up in my newsfeed, and I honestly think that the last time I checked it was 3 to 4 months ago. I don't care what happens to them anymore. We sort of separated ourselves from the group of friends we were running with and made new friendships. I don't think that the old friendships were outright toxic, but those couples had different priorities that did not align with who we wanted to be as a couple. They were very social and outgoing in a way that was okay with drinking to excess, doing drugs, bragging about money, and social positioning. They were nice people, but ultimately, not who we wanted to spend our time with. Our new group of friends is great, still social and outgoing, but without the excessive drinking and drugs. More focus on family and a more positive atmosphere all around. We spent New Year's Eve 2018 with our old group and woke up New Year's Day hungover and worthless. We spent New Year's Eve this year with our new group and still had a great time, but got home with the kids early enough that we were able to enjoy ourselves and our kids on New Year's Day. Our kids know that we are staying together. We decided over the summer, June, July, to put the divorce proceedings on hold. It was originally scheduled to be done in March or April, but we decided early to push it back. Going through the list of our belongings and trying to decide who got what was really tough. And I honestly think it also contributed to both her willingness to open up and make things work and my willingness to give it another shot. We told the kids we were no longer going to get divorced, that sometimes mommies and daddies need to work through hard things, and that we were going to keep trying to work through this. She moved back into our bedroom in August, and I took a lock off the door. Life is not perfect, but it's better, and he keeps getting better every day. She expressed to me on Christmas how sorry she is for everything that she put me through, and how she will keep trying every single day to rebuild my trust and love. I do love her, probably now more than ever. I understand now how couples can make it through something like this. We planned a family vacation together this spring while the kids are on spring break from school, and I think we are all really looking forward to it. We still meet with our couples therapist weekly, and are both still doing regular, not weekly, individual therapy outside of our couple sessions. Our marriage counselor told us that she's amazed at how we have handled this and how we keep doing the work to heal the fractures in our marriage. It wasn't easy for a long time, but it's easier now than it was. I want to be as clear as I can be on what we did to heal. I know that the rest of this post is somewhat vague, but I want to be crystal clear on what we did to make it work. Maybe this will help someone else. I'm no expert. This is just what worked for us. Therapy. Individual and couples therapy on both sides. Therapy helped me understand my shortcomings as a man, as a husband, and as a father. It helped me find clarity and peace in myself, and helped me regain a sense of confidence I lost when my wife cheated on me. Her individual therapy helped her identify and deal with her own shortcomings as a wife and a mother. It helped her decide if she really did want reconciliation, or if she wanted to go on her own way. Once she decided she wanted to reconcile, our couples therapy helped us figure out what the path to that was and what our lives would look like on the other side. We both committed to working towards that common goal. We bought in fully and did the work outside of therapy to rebuild our relationship. This included radical honesty. When I was feeling something, I told her. When she was feeling something, she told me. We didn't keep our feelings inside. We expressed them, and when she was telling me, I put aside all of my distractions and really listened to her. She did the same for me. Daily check-ins. Every night, I would put the kids to bed. We would sit down and check in with each other. How was our day? What was our plan for the next day? How were we feeling about each other? These conversations were difficult at first, but became second nature with time. Now, I look forward to our nightly check-ins, and I know that they have had a significant positive impact in our relationship. Asking each other questions. This was kind of like we went back to the phase when we first started dating. Look, she and I have been together for a long time, and we are not the same people we were when we first started dating. People change. The question is whether or not the people we are now are people who can still be together in a healthy marriage. I found a list of questions online that range from, what is your favorite color? And what would you do if one of your parents died right now? We went through the list, then we found another list and another one. It's become kind of fun rediscovering who she is. Acts of service. I'm not a super religious person, but we found a Christian-based guide to repairing a marriage after infidelity and included doing acts of service for your partner. This ranged from simple, writing them a note, doing a chore that they were responsible for, sending a message in the middle of the day, to more extravagant things, date night alone, buying a thoughtful gift, taking a weekend away together. Again, these little things began to add up and rebuild my trust in her and my love for her. Simple things like when she took out the trash for me when I was working late one night went a long way. Stop dwelling on it. This was hard for me. I had to actively choose not to engage in thoughts that took me to a dark place. This was also incredibly uplifting because it freed up my mind and energy to focus on other things. Whenever I'd feel like I was starting to go down the path of getting wrapped up in it, I would do something to take my mind off of it. Work out or go for a run. Watch something funny on TV. Play something distracting with the kids. Eventually, I stopped thinking about it regularly, and as I've mentioned before, as time went on, I thought about it less and less. I hope you don't take this as me preaching. I'm not. I honestly believe that some people shouldn't be together. I honestly felt that about us until partway through last year. Some people can make it work. Others definitely shouldn't. I can't judge your situation any better than you can judge mine from the outside. But for now, I truly believe that we will be together for the long haul. Something else. I can't log in and check this account regularly because it starts to dredge up my old bad feelings about what happened between us. I plan to post this and then I'll check in again in a few days, and then I'll probably just leave the account alone for the future. I don't want to delete it in case someone else can benefit from the discussion. But I can't re-expose myself to all of this repeatedly if I want to continue moving forward with her. I hope you understand.